What's up Mod Squad, MOB back with another Division 2 video. So the episode 2 PTS is now live on PC and boy oh boy do we have some changes. First up, I wanted to give you some of the dates and information on what's coming to the PTS. So on the 16th of September is loot targeting and dark zone. September the 24th is new exotic balancing and bug fixes, and then on the 1st of October is the PTS ending. Now they also said that these dates and the length of the PTS are subject to change. Right, so before I list some of these changes that I thought are pretty important in the PTS patch notes, I want to remind you guys that this is a PTS and it's all subject to change. There might be things in the PTS patch notes that you do not like the sound of, and there might be some that you like, but at the end of the day it's all a PTS and not a patch preview. So with that said, let's get started. And first up, I'm just going to get this out of the way. The Eagle Bearer, they lowered the Eagle Bearer damage by 15%. Now in my personal opinion, for PvP this is a good thing, it's a much needed change, but for PvE I feel as though they should leave the damage exactly where it is. A lot of people did that raid, a lot of people grinded for it, a lot of people like to use it in their PvE content. There's still a lot of PvE people still playing the game, leave the damage as it is, but when it comes to PvP and its balancing, it definitely needed its nerf. Moving on, we have a compensated nerf. Weapon damage is increased by 10%, down from 15% when your critical hit chance is below 20%. Now, correctly removes the buff if critical hit chance is increased when the buff is active. Up next, we have a nerf to Spotter, plus 15% down from 20% weapon damage to pulsed enemies. Unstoppable Force also caught a nerf, killing an enemy grants 1%, down from 2% weapon damage from every 20k armor, down from 25k armor. On the Ropes caught a nerf too, weapon damage is increased by 15% down from 25%, while all skills are on cooldown. Now yeah, this is going to nerf the 3.11.7 build and all its variations. I run that build myself and I don't really mind. All it means is that the time to kill is going to be a little bit longer. Moving on to a couple of changes that you guys are really going to be happy with. One being loadouts. They added 12 slots so you guys can run all kinds of builds, man, all kinds. If you got that reference, let me know down in the comment sections below. Up next we have stash space, which was increased by 150. So you can hoard as much as you like now. 150 added slots, let's go. Up next we have brand sets. Brand sets now have an item available on every slot. Now this should have been in the game from the beginning. Mask, backpack, vest, gloves, holster, knee pads. The only exception to this is the 5.11 brand set. As that real life version doesn't cover all slots, and we're happy to stick with that, is what they said. Man, that guy just got turned on. I want to remind you guys that what I'm reading out here, things I've picked out of the patch notes that I thought are most important. I will leave a link to the full patch notes down in the description below. There is a hell of a lot of them, and they cover a vast amount of things, guys. This is only a few things that I'm reading out to you. So moving on to skills. Seeker Mines, increased damage of explosive Seeker Mines by 20%, now applies bleed status effect. Increased damage of cluster Seeker Mines by 30%, increased cooldown of cluster Seeker Mines from 40 seconds to 60 seconds, lower quantity of cluster Seeker Mines from 4 to 3, and then increased cooldown of Blinder Firefly from 60 seconds to 90 seconds. So what they've done there is they've kind of buff nerfed the one-shot Seeker builds that we're all running in PvE right now. I can't play the PTS, but you know, I'm going to check on people to see if this is a good or a bad thing. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on to PvP and some Dark Zone changes right here. So Dark Zone gear normalization. Player stats will no longer be normalized and agents will receive their full recalibration bonuses at end game. Players below gear score 500 will still receive stat boosts to allow an easier entry into the Dark Zone. Talents continue to have PvE and PvP versions. The UI will automatically change the talent text inside and outside normalized PvP. And they said we're working on displaying all PvP modifiers in the UI. Now I really hope, they say here, because I'll just read this first, hold on. Developers notes, we heard players feedback that normalization can be too punishing, especially when you're trying to mid-match your build or your agent as much as possible, just to learn that when entering the Dark Zone the effort was not worth it. Now if they've learned that from the Dark Zone and what the feedback they got from that, then they need to look into Conflict, because it's exactly the same thing. So anyway, up next we have Dark Zone matchmaking. We've made changes to matchmaking for Dark Zones, which should ensure higher populations in all zones. Now we've heard this one before, so I'm not going to get my hopes up personally, but you know, we can only wait and see. Up next we have general changes. Dark zone extractions now have a chance to be ambushed by NPCs. Oh, so they don't always come out now, it's a chance that you'll be ambushed. That's nice, I like the sound of that. It makes hijacking a lot more fun. Hacking a dark zone terminal will temporarily highlight DZ resources around you. It's okay, nothing major. Conflict, right, we've got some conflict changes here, quite a few. Added a new sound effect for the countdown in conflict, that's majorly important. End of match rewards, players will now always earn a reward for playing a match, so you will always get a cash now. You will always get a cash. Additional rewards will be given for ranking up and winning. Isn't that nice? So pretty much like Division 1's Last Stand, you're gonna get a cash regardless of what you do, because that's what it is. A reward equals cash. Added new loading screens. Great, more loading screens. We love loading screens. Added new match start sequence. Oh, I hope it's quicker than the one we got. Update boost signs and feedback. Update victory and loss presentation. Okay. Added new music for the winning team. That's because that's what everybody wanted, man. New music. Woo. New music. Reworked end of round screen will emphasize on each earned reward. Okay, these are major changes right here. Added PvP projects in conflict. Hey, there's something. Daily DZ projects now rotates between a conflict project and a DZ project. Added visibility of the area of effect range of skills. Only shows when players are in affected area. Now reading over these, they do sound pretty minimal, I'm not gonna lie. They sound pretty lazy, but then again, Frederick Thailander has said on Twitter that this is just the beginning when it comes down to the patch notes. There's going to be a lot more added, so I'm not going to jump the gun just yet. There's also loads of other changes I haven't read out, guys. There's changes to NPCs, there's changes to gear sets and their talents, like Alp Summit 2-piece bonus is now 10% skill power, up from 5%. Petrov 3-piece set bonus is now plus 20% skill haste, down from 30%. China Light Industries 3-piece set bonus is now plus 20% skill haste, down from 30%. Again, like I said, some skills also got changed. We already went over the Seeker Mine and the Firefly. The turret got changed, the drone. We have new talents as well, some brand new talents to the game. We have Spark, damaging enemies with skills or grenades grants 15%, plus 15% weapon damage for 15 seconds. Spark can be found on backpack items. Vigilance, gain plus 25% weapon damage. Receiving damage disables this buff for 5 seconds. Vigilance can be found on chest items. Concussion, headshot grants plus 20% headshot damage for 2 seconds, 5 seconds with marksman rifles. Concussion can be found on masks. That already to me sounds like it needs a buff. There's also a big list of talent changes. I went over a couple of them, well, what I felt was the main important ones, but there's a bigger list of those guys. There's also changes to weapon talents. I will leave a link to the patch notes in the description below, so head over and check those out, because seriously guys, there is a hell of a lot of changes. There's UI changes, general bug fixes. We also have audio fixes, modding craft and recalibration changes, weapon and gear. There's just untold. But again, I'll leave a link in the description below to the patch notes, so head over there and check them out. Don't forget to comment below, guys, and let me know what you think about all these patch notes that I have told you. Smash that like button, help support the channel. Subscribe to the channel for lots more Division 2 content if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Mod Squad.
An agent needs assistance. Agent needs assistance. Supply drop.